connect the PocketLab by hitting the top button and bringing it close to the device. It should then connect automatically. And you'll see that it immediately begins streaming acceleration data along 3 axes. So you can shake the PocketLab along the different axes to see the data change. Now, if you want to switch to the different sensors, in the upper left-hand corner, go ahead and select the icon that looks like a graph. Then you'll be able to switch to the different sensors just right there in the app. So if I go to magnetic field, you'll see that some graphs in the lower right-hand corner have a 0 button. So you can hit that to zero out the readings, which is important for some of the graphs like magnetic field. In the upper right-hand corner, you can see that there are toggles for the 3 different axes. So I can turn off the x-axis by just selecting, by just toggling the red X button on the right. I can turn it back on by hitting it again. I can turn off the Z or the Y. And then I just have the x-axis. I can, in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a little, what looks like a little speedometer, and that can change the data rates. We have 3 data rates, low, medium, and high. It'll default to medium, which is 10 samples per second. When I click the icon there, it switches it to the highest data rate, which is 20 samples per second. And then if I hit it once more, it'll slow it down to 1 sample per second. So in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see what looks like a little ruler. You can click on that, and that will bring up the different units that you can select for each of the graphs displayed. So right now we're looking at acceleration in G's, but I can switch that to meters per second squared. This whole time we've just been showing you how to switch to the different sensors, turn on and off the different axes, switch the data rates, change the units. But now when we're actually got everything set and we're ready for an experiment, we want to start a recording of our data. That way we can go back and look at it. So the very bottom of the screen is what looks like a little recording button. You want to go ahead and just hit that. And that'll begin recording the data. I can then do my experiment and then go back and hit the button, which the recording button is now turned into a stop button. So I can just go ahead and hit that. And now I'm in what's called review mode. So I can click on the different data points to bring up their values. I can also pinch and zoom on different parts of the graph. Now if you notice, some of the icons at the top have disappeared. That's because we can no longer change our data rate. We can no longer turn on and off the different axes because we've already done our recording. But you can actually still change the units if you'd like to change, switch from meters per second squared back to G's. Once I've finished with my experiment, I can go ahead and save my data. So I can do that by clicking the share button in the bottom right corner. When I click on that, I will see 2 options. One that says share graph snapshot, which will save a picture of the graph that you see on the screen, or you can click share data. When you share data, you are saving the data as a CSV file, and you can use any number of apps to share that. So you can email it to yourself, you can text it, you can share it right to iCloud, or any number of things that you have set up in your share features. So here we can go ahead and share to Notes, which is helpful. Which is a helpful app on iOS that you can share CSV files to. I can then just go ahead and I'll name this Trial 1. And I've saved my CSV file. I can now open that back up. In Notes, there's Trial 1. I can go and click on that, and now I get my CSV file. So I can put that in Google Docs or Excel and recreate the graph, which I'll show you in another video. If you want to look at more than one graph at once, go ahead and click on the graph icon in the upper left corner. And then here you can see right now we're on one graph mode, but there's an option to select two graph mode. When I select two graph modes, you can see that I have the ability to select now two graphs. So I could select acceleration and angular velocity. And now as I rotate the PocketLab, I can get measure the rotation of the PocketLab, the rate of rotation, and the PocketLab's acceleration. And we can look at up to 3 graphs at once. So if I now want to go to the 3 graph mode, I click on the graph icon again in the upper left hand corner, and now I click, there's an option for 3 graphs. So what I can do now is look at, let's say, pressure, altitude, and temperature. And now I can look at all 3 of those graphs at once. Okay, the last feature I'll show you is the PocketLab app's video function. So in the upper right hand corner, you can see another icon that also looks like a little graph. When you select that, you're allowing the app to access your device's camera. And you can see that now I have the data overlaid on top of a video image. So I can continue, if I continue to hit that same button in the upper right corner, I will toggle it to different modes for the video function. So we have the graph and video overlay like we just saw, and then we can also put it as a picture-in-picture. So if you're doing an experiment, maybe you're crashing a car into a wall or swinging a pendulum, and you want to see how the data is actually modeling what you're observing, the video function is great for this. So you can go ahead and begin a data recording just like normal, and then you would do your experiment. So here I'm just shaking the PocketLab up and down. Stop your recording, and then you can go back and play the video over again to help you with your understanding, or if you're a teacher, to help your students with their understanding. Okay, and now just like before, I can select the different data points in review mode, and I can also export the video by selecting the share feature, and then I can either share the data as a CSV file, I can save the video, but that will just be the video without the graph, or I can share combined video, and this will share the data that I've recorded with the video simultaneously. So that's what I want to click. It asks you if you're sure that you want to save this, because it does take a little bit of time. So you hit proceed, and now it'll start rendering the video with the graph data on top of it. Okay, now when the video finishes rendering, you can just save it right to your gallery or share it with the other options that you have, but you can just share it right to, by clicking Save Image. You share that right to your Images gallery, which I can then access. And now I have that same video. I can go ahead and watch it. I can watch it in slow motion. And now I have that video saved. So those are the basic functions of the PocketLab app. You can check out the other videos if you want to see how to use the different sensors more specifically.